The zoning commission meeting of September 17th to order, please. It's 7:06, since our friends, the Design Review Board, worked overtime. We have no alternates to appoint. We have 4 regular members here, so we have a quorum. Do we want to discuss the minutes? Anybody have any comments or corrections?
They're okay to me.
Donna? Okay, the minutes stand as submitted. First order of business is public hearings. We have an application 1730 that's continued. So the public it's still open. Does anyone want to speak? Does anyone have questions of the applicant? Does the applicant have anything to say about?
They've changed it since we've seen it.
Well, then we need to hear what has changed.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Andrew Quirk, professional engineer and principal of Kratzer Jones and Associates. We did make revisions to address the engineering comments that we received, and I believe we've addressed those, primarily dealing with some improvements to the stormwater management system in terms of water quality. We made changes to address that. Also some minor changes related to the sidewalks along Hop Meadow. More significantly, we removed, at this time, the interconnection to the rear of the property. I believe it will be on sheet S2, the layout and proposed layout and landscaping plan. On the westerly property line, or to the left on the sheet, we previously had an interconnection, a one-way interconnection between this development and the other developments. And working closely with town staff, at this time when we don't know how the remainder of the property is going to be configured and laid out, it was determined to be best at this point to not have that interconnection so that it wouldn't be in an improper location, but have a condition, if the commission were to approve this, that an interconnection would be provided with a site plan when the remainder of the site is developed. So the applicant is more than willing to have that interconnection, but I think we want to see how the remainder of the property develops and do it in the right location and in the proper way when that's done. And there'd be 2 ways that the commission could have that protection that would happen. One is there's a special exception which gets recorded on the land records, so that condition would be on the land records, and it could also be part of the site plan conditions, so that any further site plan would have those 2 references that they would have to abide by for the development of the remainder of the parcel, that it would be interconnected with this piece. Also, in working with the town planner, the landscaping on the northerly property line, or the top of the sheet, we had proposed evergreen plantings at this time to screen between the 2 properties. But I think knowing that that property is also going to probably be redeveloped, that we would go with continuing the sugar maples along the frontage of the property on that property line as well, and we're fine with that condition as well. I do have the plans. I just wasn't sure we needed to go through in more detail, but I'm happy to try to answer any other questions about the changes or concerns at this time.
I thought the stormwater report was great because you're going to have so many plantings and more green space and
Correct.
less pavement. I think that's great.
Correct. Yeah, thank you.
Do I have any comments? Other comments from the commission? Does anyone in the public like to speak to this application? Jamie, are there any staff comments that we should get in the record?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we did hand out staff comments this evening dated September 18th, 2017, regarding the review of application 17-30, restaurant with drive-through facility located on property 11225 through 1245 and 1261 Hop Meadow Street. With regards to the application, we've done a very thorough review in concert with the applicant and their design team, and attached to our letter is a proposed motion. It's worded in a favorable manner, and I'm just going to briefly go over those. With regards to the attachment A, there are general development modifications and conditions of approval, and those are primarily administrative in nature and associated with WPCA sign-off, DOT sign-off, pre-construction meetings, materials, shop drawings, and potential changes. I'm going to draw your attention to the second page of that attachment, which says site plan modifications / conditions of approval. And as Mr. Quirk mentioned to you tonight, we're making recommendations in item number 12 that the applicant shall add language to the plan stating that future access to the site may be provided along the westerly, northwesterly, and southwesterly lease lines when the property is further developed by the owner / owners. Item number 13 is that the proposed landscaping, 6 white oak and evergreen trees on the northern property boundary, excuse me, it should say white cedars, on the northerly property boundary be changed to 6 Green Mountain sugar maples, minimum 3-inch caliber. Item number 14, that the proposed landscaping, 2 flowering dogwoods on the easterly property boundary shall be changed to Green Mountain sugar maples. 15, the proposed landscaping, 3 white cedars, again. Evergreen trees on the southerly lease line boundary shall be changed to 3 Green Mountain sugar maples. 16, the applicant shall submit a final, more detailed landscape plan to the Director of Planning and Community Development for review and approval prior to issuance of any building permits for the site. Item 17 is a note that all the, in essence, disturbed areas that are proposed for turf or to be loomed and seeding, that it's clear that it's 6 inches of loom, and that loom is screened with no more than half-inch minus, which is a stone passing a half-inch grid. And that the 18, the applicant shall provide a detail of fence types associated with the dumpster enclosure. There's a dumpster enclosure, but it also says on the site plan or equivalent, and we just want to make sure that the term equivalent is vetted prior to installation. With regards to that, we have a letter from the town engineer that all of his issues have been addressed, and the items associated in his letter have been incorporated into any draft motion that we prepared before you this evening. Again, the applicant has worked diligently to address staff's concerns over the last 2 months. And
On item 16, it says he shall submit a final, more detailed landscape plan. Are there some issues that I don't understand? What's it going to provide?
It's just clarity that the proposed revisions are revised and submitted for review prior to them signing, sealing, and putting a plan set together. There are no additional details associated with type and quantity other than the changes we're recommending.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on these things? We'll get to them later.
Nope.
Okay, one more time, anybody in the public like to speak to this application? Okay, I think we're looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Yeah, move it, close the public hearing on application 1730.
Second.
Second from Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Okay, the next item is application 1730, which we just discussed. And we have a draft motion, if we are prepared to make a motion.
Prepared to make one?
I think we are. Are you
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
prepared to make a motion on this?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarity,
Yep.
you have 2 agenda items, which is application 1730 for the special exception for the drive-through. You're acting on that first, and then 1731 is a follow-up on the site plan and signage.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is a special exception.
Okay.
Right.
So really, the purpose of the public hearing was for the drive-through, although we got into the specifics of that, of the site. So under item 1730, if you were to entertain any favorable motion, in essence, would be to approve the special exception for the drive-through. That would give them the ability to now have a drive-through. And 1731's application actually places the drive-through on a site plan.
Okay, so we need a motion
So
to
the
approve.
proposed motion is for
for the
30 or for 31?
30, you can't do 17-31 unless you approve the drive-through, which is contained
It's a
in
draft
application
The draft motion is for
17-30.
1731.
31, yeah.
believe.
No, this one is for 30. The one that's handed out is for 30.
It should be.
Okay, I'll correct that. The reference to the letter is 1731.
No, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
So we need a motion to approve the special exception pursuant to Article 7.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 1730 of Andrew Quirk, P.E. Kratzer Jones and Associates, agent, Antonio's LLC owner for a special exception pursuant to Article 7, Section E.6 of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs to allow for a restaurant in a B1 zone with a drive-through facility on the property located at 1225, 1245, and 1261 Hot Meadow Street. Let's get the rest.
Have a second?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the drive-through is done. Now, we'll see what it can drive through to. Okay, application 1731 is really the subject of the letter. If we're ready
Mr.
to.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application, to approve with special, no, it's not right still.
Site plan
To
amendment.
approve application 1731 with certain modifications and conditions as submitted by Andrew Quirk, noting the following sheets: the cover sheet, C1, demolition plan, S1, site layout and landscaping plan, S2, site grading and utility plan, S3, all dated, well, they're all different dates, but as printed here, okay. And then the modifications to the application are noted under general development, modifications, conditions of approval, 1 through 11, and site plan modifications, conditions of approval, 12 through 18, with the change from evergreens to white cedars.
And including all engineer items? That's just what Jamie had said.
Engineering is covered in
Okay.
our draft.
It's covered in here already.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second?
Second by Donna. Further discussion? Everybody's clear on what we're doing here? This is for the site plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0, it carries. So we dealt with those two. You're welcome. Thank you for your work. We have a new application, 1738 of Ronald Bomagen.
Good evening. My name is Ron Bomagen, a professional engineer with Paulson O'Neill. I'm here on behalf of Simsbury Developers to request a site plan amendment for application 1506 to include a pet park at their facility on Hot Meadow. This is the apartment complex, Aspen Green. The application is for a 1,225 square foot fenced-in area. It's a 4-foot tall black polyvinyl chain link fence. The application package has a single gate to get into the dog park, pet park. There was no grading of the site that has to take place in order to construct this. It's simple as putting up a fence, fenced-in area, so that the residents of the apartments have a place to bring their dogs and let them go unleashed and play there. Very small fenced-in area. It's not acres of land like your typical community dog park. It's .03 acres instead of an acre, which is your typical size dog park. I did go through the staff report, and they did point out two trees that are planted that they are asking for to be relocated. We're under the impression, we think it's better to have some shade inside the dog park for the animals so they're not baking in the sun if they're in there. We'd like to leave those trees, if possible, in the fenced-in area. There's really no reason to relocate them.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to that, if you're going to leave those trees in the area, they need to be protected. Because you have a root zone associated with that traffic, it's very difficult to establish turf, and there's potential damage to that tree. So similar to a tree guard in an urban setting, those trees should be protected with tree guards inside of any type of setting for a dog park
For how long?
for their life.
There's plenty of trees inside dog parks. The trees are not going to die overnight. They'll thrive. This is not a public dog park. It's just for the residents of this development.
And when that tree dies, they would not be in compliance with the zoning approval, and we don't want to have that discussion 10 or 15 years from now. So staff's recommendation is that the applicant provide tree protection during the lifespan of that tree.
Very
The
standard.
functionality of that tree is to provide shade, protecting the root zone.
Is there a
as well.
standard for protection of the tree?
It could be a simple split rail fence with box wire behind it to just, in essence, protect that growing tree till it's well established. And again, whether it's there 10 or 15 years from now, that's a discussion for that time. But during its growth and infancy, staff would recommend that that is protected.
Okay, I don't know. I've got lots of trees in my backyard and our dogs run around there, and I don't think that's what's killed them. And Charlie and I, it was not the Steinbeck or whoever it was that wrote that story.
This is a
Charlie,
very small dog park for a very significant, large population in that community.
And again, we're talking about maybe a handful of pets here. We're not talking a ton of pets. And then the other comment, only other comment was they're asking for a two-gate system to enter this area. Again, it's just residents of the apartments. This developer has a handful of other apartment complexes just like this. They have single-gate access to those pet parks, and they work just fine. So we're asking to just keep it a single gate. I understand the reasoning for the double gate. It's, the dog park that you have in the center here is a perfect example why you need it. But in a small area like this, it's 40 by 40 fenced-in area. It's very small. Residents are going to be with their dogs. A double gate seemed just to be a waste of money. But as far as staking out the locations before they construct it, we'll go ahead and do that. That's fine. So we're requesting to leave the trees and could just go with a single gate to get into this pet area.
Mr. Chairman, with
Yes.
regards to staff's recommendation of a double gate, it's basically the standard for the installation of a dog park, specific to its location, to vehicular movements. It again, I don't want to call it an industrial standard, but it is the norm and the design standpoint to do that as a double barrier or opportunity for someone to enter and exit without letting the rest of the dogs come out. So if someone's entering and there are other dogs unleashed inside of the dog park and someone opens the gate, I'm opening the gate for my pet. I'm not watching the other pets there. So again, that is staff's recommendation to do that. With regards to cost, is this a $25 or $30 million project?
I get it.
The
It's a
25 or
small-
$30 million
it's a small-
project?
It's a small
Is it a
dime
25
drop
or
in the bucket.
$30 million residential development? I think it's
Private development,
It's-
private
it's
property.
very difficult.
Single gate would work just fine.
to debate cost on such a large-scale project. You have staff's recommendation.
Okay, any comments?
Where are the trees? Do we have a location of the trees on one of these plans?
They're in the original approved set of drawings. I have them here if you wanted to take a look at them. There's also photos of the trees that.
Are they new
staff
trees,
took.
or?
Yeah, they're new
They
trees.
look
They're
new,
new
yeah.
trees that were planted maybe a month or two
There's a
ago.
photo of
Yeah, they're new trees. What if we moved one out?
Pardon?
Mr. Chairman, they're not shown on the plan.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
You're correct.
Yeah, I just gave you the grading and layout drawing. So the landscaping did not change.
Now, should,
Here's the pet park.
with or without the protection, should the trees die, they're obligated to replace those trees, right?
Correct.
Well, one's right in front of the gate.
It's in quite a ways. It's in about 10 feet.
That gate's 3 feet.
It's about 5 feet.
Are those trees not along the property line here?
No,
I mean, the other aspect is the trees can be simply located just beyond the gate, and they will provide the same, as Mr. Bomminger said this evening, it's a 40 by 40
showing
dog
right in front
park.
of the gate.
So if they're slightly relocated to be just on the outside of the fence, they can serve the same purpose. It just
Yeah, that's what I'm
requires the
saying.
relocation.
We can do that.
Just move them right outside the fence, they shade the whole area.
Correct. And you may actually want to place them slightly, they were there to serve a different purpose, and they can potentially serve a dual purpose now, to shade the dog park and also act as a perimeter tree to the development and parking.
I mean, you could almost keep the same shape, just,
Is that okay?
That's fine, yeah.
okay.
They're not in place now, right?
They're in place.
There.
They are in place?
They're already,
Yeah, they're right
yeah.
there, but they're not,
Okay.
In a typical commercial landscape business, 2/3 of the wire basket, or were they, Ron, do you remember if they were grown in
I don't.
bucket or
I don't know.
wire and burlap? Mike, do you?
I'm guessing
there's-
burlap.
If they're still burlap and wire, 2/3 of that burlap and wire is still in the ground.
yeah, let's walk, you're right, that's right.
I think we're okay with the trees.
I think we're okay with
I
the
think we're
trees if
good.
we move that.
Okay?
We're
Assuming
moving
that we
them,
move it,
we're
so
moving
it's-
them, right?
Moving the tree outside the,
Where are we-
outside the park.
Are we moving them toward the parking lot
Just
side?
outside the fence line there.
On the parking lot
Yeah,
side?
we'll have to position them in an area where they're not going to be in conflict with each other.
Yeah, okay.
Now, wait, are they moving towards the building or?
They should go this way, right?
Right, that's why,
No?
that's why not.
Yeah, this one by the
Right there, and this one can come right there. Yeah,
So they're moving them to the east.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
along with our staff report, there is a draft motion that was worded in a favorable manner, and it includes language that says, update the site plan and illustrate relocation of landscaping as noted by staff. The zoning commission has authorized staff to review and approve their landscaping relocations on their behalf.
Yep.
I think that would cover the discussion.
Okay, now how about the two latching gates? You have a comment on that?
I don't, I mean, I see staff's recommendation. I also see whether you need it or not, this is a very small dog park, and obviously it's just for the residents. I would have to go with staff's recommendation because I feel like they know.
I think your residents are gonna want it, quite frankly.
Pardon?
I think the residents are gonna want it. For such a small space,
Again,
it's
they've-
gonna be
They've
hard.
done small spaces like this in
Yeah.
other apartment complexes that have just as many apartments, and single gate works just fine.
Powder Forest has a double gate, as
Yeah,
well as the
I-
town's dog park.
I have a single gate at home, and I know that even though it's my dogs, and they do listen to me sometimes, a double gate would have been handy a few times.
Mine just jumps
So
the
my,
fence.
my inclination is when you've got a number of unknown dogs in there and you're trying to bring your dog in, it'd certainly be a lot nicer if there was a double gate situation, from my perspective. What do you think,
Okay,
Kevin?
well, we'll go with a double gate then.
Okay, so we're ready for a motion?
Sure.
You want to do a motion?
Sure. I will make a motion to approve application 17-38 of Ronald Bomagen, PELEED AP for Fuss and O'Neill, agent, Simsbury Developers LLC, owner, for a site plan amendment. The site plan approval is subject to the following conditions of approval. Number one, the administrative zoning permit is required for site work and park improvements. Number two, for issuance of zoning permit, the applicant is to update the site plan and illustrate relocation of landscaping as noted by staff. The zoning commission has authorized staff to review and approve the landscaping relocation on our behalf. Number three, location of pet park is to be marked in the field. Said location is to be reviewed and approved by code compliance officer prior to the start of site work. And number four, entrance to the park is to be modified on plans to provide 2 latching gates so that proper containment is provided.
Second.
Second by Kevin. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0, it carries. As modified. Application 1740 of Tim Martin, owner, for a special exception for a rear lot. This is to set a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, staff recommends that you schedule a public hearing for October 16th, 2017.
Kevin, or
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion regarding application 1740 of Tim Martin, owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 7, Section C8 of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs, that we set a public hearing for October 16th in the main meeting room at 7 PM.
Second?
second by Jackie.
Speak on that application one time.
Pardon?
Can I speak on that application?
We're going
You
to,
will on October 16th.
October 16th, we're going to have a public hearing,
On the
so.
application, I want to identify some of the shortcomings in the application so we don't have we understand what's going on.
Mr. Chairman, if you're going to talk to the merits of the application, the appropriate time to speak on that is at the public hearing. If you speak this evening, you're potentially holding a hearing without due process and doing the appropriate legal notices.
It's not the merits of the application, it's the application itself. If it's, you're denying me the opportunity to speak, I can just speak, you don't have to answer.
No, it's if the application is in order that we can set a public hearing, then we should do that, and we should not discuss the merits of the application before the public hearing. It would prejudice your application, so I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Thank you. Stanley, that's
Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
mine or yours?
Carries 4-0. We set a public hearing for October 16th. Okay, application 1741 of Els Fontaine and Kristen Cormier, agents for the Alan W. Hickson Trust Agreement, owner, for site plan amendment and a change of use from office to retail and a sign permit.
Mr. Chairman, you have an application for a site plan modification and change of use for 738 Hop Meadow Street. This is on the east side of the Bank of America property, behind Bank of America, west of Iron Horse Boulevard. The applicants are here this evening, and I'm sure they would like the opportunity to explain their project to you.
Yes, thank you. We are
Can you
asking
have your
for,
name and address, please, for the record?
oh, I'm sorry, it's on 738 Hop Meadow Street. It's actually behind the courtyard.
Your name.
No, your
Oh,
name.
my
and
name.
address.
Okay, my name is Els Fontana, this is
Right.
Kristen Cormier. We're both from West Granby, Connecticut. We're opening up, or we'd like to open up a shop in Simsbury and at 738 Hop Meadow Street, which is actually on Bank of America property. We are requesting that we change the use from office space to retail. We understand that it is zoned for retail, that we just have to go through the formalities of asking for a change of use.
Okay. Any questions of the commission?
Are we going with the signage?
Mr. Chairman, we have a letter dated September 15, 2017, addressed to Dave Ryan, Chairman of the Simsbury Zoning Commission, regarding the application for site plan amendment and change of use from office to retail, as well as the sign permit. Design Review did review this evening and made a few recommendations on signage that we will go over with you briefly.
The design review did approve it tonight with
Design Review recommended approval with a few modifications, and they made a recommendation
And there were
on
two options, weren't there?
favorable approval. There's two signs associated with the application. There's a wall sign above the entry vestibule, and then there's a projection, or projected sign on the building. They're making a recommendation that the wall-mounted sign have a minimum of 4 inches below and above it, in its placement above the door to have a clapboard reveal, and that the right and left of the sign have a minimum of 6 inches of reveal between the two corbels that sit there. There's a lot of architectural detail on the building, and there's two corbels that sit under the eaves or the overhang, and there's 70 inches between those two corbels, and they're asking for 6 inches, so the sign would potentially shrink a little bit to give some clapboard or space between the sign and the corbels. Again, so you don't lose the architectural detail of the corbel in with the sign. With regards to the projection sign, they were okay with that.
So the wall sign would go right in between those, above a window?
Above the entry door.
Okay, yes.
Entry door.
So many different pictures, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's nice.
So in our proposed, in our report, we have an attachment A, which is a proposed motion to approve the site plan amendment for a change of use from office to retail and sign permit for Beehive Home on property located at 738. We would just ask that any favorable motion you make include the changes to the dimensions associated with the wall sign, which would be a 4-inch reveal, top and bottom of the sign, 6-inch reveal right and left of the proposed sign.
So the sign could potentially get taller than it's shown here,
No,
because it doesn't look like it goes all the way to the top,
it,
does it?
in the space that they had, potentially, yes.
Oh.
So again, the intent is to leave that top vertical reveal, but on the bottom of the sign, to at least have a clapboard and a half in essence, assuming they're 3.5-inch clapboards, so that a clapboard and a half
Okay.
shows. Don, to your point, if they raise the sign, it'll be tucked up and hidden underneath the eave, and you wouldn't.
And there's a trim board, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
staying
there's a trim board.
below, right? The
Yes.
dark trim board? Okay.
If there's any questions on the signage, they're proposing for the wall sign to have brass raised channel lettering, so that will be the color of that, along with a, we'll say, a teal green to brown tone backer board on that. The projection sign, the photo they used is relatively representative of their ultimate design for that. And that is not raised channel lettering, that is just an applied product to that backer board for the projection sign.
Where does Pottery Barn come into this?
We're gonna
You're
put
just
them
showing
on
the
business.
text?
That was just an example of what, if you didn't know what, as opposed to flat letters versus letters that have dimension and depth to them.
They're taking on Pottery Barn.
What wasn't described when I was looking at it?
It's a great
Yeah,
building.
I kept saying, what? What
Thank
is
you.
that?
We're excited.
Okay, what
Nice.
questions do you have? Jackie?
No? That's great.
That isn't really the font that's been chosen that's in this
It's
picture.
just channel issues.
I'm sorry?
It isn't really the font of the main door sign.
Oh, the hand-drawn one? No, that was
That's
a,
just a little,
It was a
a very
game.
difficult graphic program.
geez, Dave.
Yeah, no, it was one of our children
I think
that
I
got in there and messed it up.
Somewhere I read that that was
Mr. Chairman, to answer
Yeah.
your question, Mr. Ryan, the font that's representative of the wall sign is example B, or
Yep.
exhibit B.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah,
this
so
is the
that-
font that we're going to be using, not
Not the etch a sketch.
Kevin's comments. or-
Are you using both levels or just the main level?
just the main level. So actually, I believe the downstairs is 736. Upstairs is 738.
I didn't know they were separate. You ready for a motion?
Yeah, you guess it, Donna, are you, okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve application 1741 of Ellis Fontaine and Kristen Cormier agents, the Allen W. Hickson Trust Agreement owner, for a site plan amendment for a change of use from office to retail and sign permit for Beehive Home on the property located at 738 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map H10, Block 22, Lot 03, Zone SC3. Recommendation includes the changes recommended by the Design Review Board, which for the mounted sign above the door to include a 4-inch reveal on the top and bottom and a 6-inch reveal on the left and right.
There a second?
Second.
Second by Jackie. Further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0, carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right, the next thing is to refer a text amendment proposal to Planning Commission and to set a public hearing for November 20th. So can I have a motion to refer this application to the Planning Commission? I'm looking at you.
Can we do it in one, or do we do it separately?
We can do it in one, if you want.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, regarding application 1742 of Matthew Erdman and John Alobicki, Keller Williams, Farmington Valley agents for text amendment to Article 10, Section C1B of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs regarding real estate signage. Move that we refer this to the Planning Commission and that we set a public hearing for November 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m. in the main meeting room.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next application is 1743. We need to schedule a public hearing again.
Mr. Chairman, regarding application 1743 of Stephen Repka, the second owner for a special exception pursuant to Article 7, Section C9 of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs for the addition of an accessory dwelling over the garage of the existing residence on the property located at 347 West Mountain Road, West Simsbury, Assessors Map A18, Block 503, Lot 001, Zone R4, to set the public hearing for October 16th, 2017, at 7 PM in the main meeting room.
Second.
Second by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0, it passes. Application 1744, Chuck Arasati for Curaleaf for site plan amendment for placement of a 10 by 12 storage shed on property located at 100 Cushman.
Chuck Arasati, Facilities Manager at Curaleaf, 100 Grist Mill Road. We are looking to place a 10 by 12 pre-built shed in the rear of our facility to house some landscape equipment, and some small items related to the maintenance of that equipment.
Okay. Any questions?
Reading this, I just had to ask the question, so this is where you store the equipment to cut the grass?
Well, it will be. Not that grass, though.
And that's okay. It's so secure you can't even see it. Are we going to have to inspect this?
Can't get in.
You can.
24 hours notice.
24 hours. Okay. Any questions?
No, Kevin's question summed it up for us.
Donna?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Do you want me to make it?
Sure, I can't make it after saying it.
Is there a staff report in this motion?
Yes, I have it.
Okay,
It's on the back.
send it back.
I will make a motion to approve application 17-44 of Chuck Arasati, agent, Curaleaf owner, for a site plan amendment for the placement of a 10 by 12 storage shed on the property located at 100 Grist Mill Road. The site plan approval is subject to the following conditions of approval. Number 1, an administrative zoning permit is required for the placement of the shed. Said permit needs to be secured before the structure is placed at the site. Number 2, this shed is for storage of landscaping equipment materials only. Number 3, minor field adjustments to grading and landscaping may be made based on the field conditions upon written approval from the town planner, who has been given the authority on behalf of the town zoning commission to act on our behalf.
Second by Kevin. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? 4-0, it carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Arasati.
Send me the plan.
Will do.
Okay, application 1745 of Scott Brace, PDF Engineering and Construction. And this is for the site plan amendment for a modification to the unified site plan.
Signage?
Yes.
Sorry, two.
They're separated.
So, the proposal is basically for one change sign, one additional sign to the property. This is the previously approved unified site plan. Change the numbers in red, just to identify the totals. So that total proposed signage has, the total quantity's gone down, square footage. This sheet represents the same sign plan with the details, and it shows two changes. One is the service reception, which is just white vinyl lettering on the service building. And 2 would be building 2, item G, which is the Mitchell, which is a raised sign, which changed from Simsbury, smaller sign, to Mitchell lettering. And I'll get to the actual signs on the last page, picture of them. The rest of this is just basically all the signs that have already been removed based on the previous approval to date.
All the classics.
All the classics. And some not so classic. So this is the, again, this is all the same with the exception of this sign, which is previously was Simsbury, which was a 10-inch sign. Being proposed is Mitchell, a 20-inch sign on the service, on the showroom building. The coloring of this is actually white with silver edging around the pin letters. sign, which is, this is just 3.5 inch tall vinyl sticker letters going on the glass on the service building.
Did you go through design review?
I'm sorry?
Is this all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Design review made a favorable recommendation to the zoning commission with regards to signage. Although it was an increase from the original proposal, it is a white sign on a white background.
As far as,
The second,
Change from Simsbury to Mitchell.
Okay.
still be this location on the,
And that's the only thing before you tonight.
Yeah.
is
It's,
The change from Simsbury at a specific square footage, which is about a third of what they're proposing for Mitchell. But again, the Mitchell sign is white on a white background.
Why would you have a white sign on a white background? I'm just curious.
it's
Not
a,
judging or anything,
it's a
but-
Volvo standard, they do white sign on the white background with the, I mean, it is a raised lettering and it does have silver around the edges, so you're
You'll
not
see it.
looking directly at it as you're
Very
driving by,
subtle.
you're looking up, you still see the sign, it's just.
So
They don't put the-
Probably form a more of a silhouette
Right,
effect.
right.
Right.
And they don't allow it next to the Valpo?
Allow the sign next to
The
The
Mitchell?
Oh,
owner's name doesn't go next to the Valpo, is that part of their?
yeah, just opposite ends.
Just doing what we're told,
It
Kevin.
looks good.
I still want to know what you're doing with the vintage signs.
You know what Ed Dodge told me in this building when I was, I told these guys, when I was like
You gotta tell us who
14
you are, Mark.
years old, you know what he said? Mary, I think that boy ought to go off to the service. I'm with that.
Yeah, what are happening? What's happening to the old ones? I heard some of these things.
All right, are we ready to move on this?
Yeah.
Jackie?
Yes.
Am I making a motion?
Donna?
Here we are.
Donna
Okay.
wants to make a motion.
Okay, you want to make the motion?
Sure. Make a motion that we approve application 1725. Scott Brace, EDS Engineering and Construction Company, Inc., agent, Mitchell Auto Group owner, for a site plan amendment for modification to the unified sign plan on the property located at 384 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map F14, Block 145, Lot 001-2, and 416 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map F14, Block 143, Lot 003, Zone B2.
Second?
Comments or questions?
No,
All in
that's good.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, carries 4-0. Thank you. And we've got application 1746 of David Richmond for a site plan amendment for change of use of one office space on the first floor of the office used to service.
Hello, David Richmond, 760 Hot Meadow Street, Simsbury.
No, you live in Hunter's Run, you told me,
Now I
but we asked for your address,
address?
personal address.
Oh,
Yes.
5 Morgan Place, Avon, Connecticut.
Thank you. So are there any comments you want to make about this change?
I think the report says it all. I think one comment, that it's difficult to rent large space in town. I've been doing this for 15 years in this town. And so we find that we're more successful as we break spaces up and bring in more small businesses. And just this month, we've brought in 3 or 4 office use tenants from other towns in the area. And people they want their businesses downtown. It's a huge, we've seen an increase in demand in the last 3 months
Good.
versus the last 15. It's a good sign.
I have a question that really isn't relevant to the applicant, but how do they, is there an open, a central corridor, a public corridor? It looks like it's
There's
all
a
chopped.
lobby.
I don't see the lobby, just where the
Those
stairs
are-
is?
Yes.
And then, so this general office, so these will all be shared general office
Well,
space?
they're already, this is just for one of the offices.
Yes, okay, but you go into the, you have to open the door to the general office and then you get
That's
3
correct.
more,
There's
okay,
3
right.
more.
Wasn't sure of the flow there.
Are we ready for a motion? Are there any questions? Can you make a motion?
Sure. I would like to make a motion to approve application 17-46 of David A. Richmond, agent for Hop 760 LLC owner for a site plan amendment. The site plan approval is subject to the following condition of approval. An administrative zoning permit is required for the change of use of professional office space to personal office, in parentheses, hair salon. Personal service, sorry, Mike.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Thank you, David. Okay, Scott Brace, you're on again for 1747.
Okay. I think I told you my name last time, but Scott Brace again. Yeah. So, the next proposal is basically for an addition, service drive-up addition to the existing facility. Now that we're, pretty far along through the rest of the construction, Mitchell's and Volvo have put together something, basically the service drive-up addition, drive-through addition, to kind of enhance the customer's trip to the facility and also the safety. To be able to drive right into the building. Actually, one note, I guess that I should say, is that we did, design review board, we ran through it, but there's another proposal which we want to bring forward at the next meeting, so we didn't curb the decision be made for the design review board until next meeting. But we did want to present this to you tonight, just so you can see where, get any feedback we can for you tonight.
What was design review? What did they ask for?
We are looking to propose nothing with the site layout, but a different option for this addition, a different look to the addition as opposed to the brick, more ACM panel.
Okay, that doesn't
So-
affect the drive-through.
Correct. So back to this. So basically we took all asphalt, took out a section for the building, took out some more asphalt here to add some planting beds. We also took out some asphalt here to reduce the footprint with the traffic lanes coming in and coming out of the space, and added new lawn area there, eliminated a couple parking spaces to put the drive-through in that area. Reorganize the traffic pattern, so currently there's really no traffic patterning here. But working with Jamie over the last couple months, came up with a scheme that allows you to come in and go the 3 different directions you need to, coming in and exiting. Gives you a little bit safer travel path,
Yeah.
and more defined as you come
So
in and
that
out
white
of the
line
building.
will be painted? I assume it's a white line, it's a black line the one in the road.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is traffic markings, so that'll be painted. Painted, this will be a painted crosswalk. You got entrances and exits painted. Another over here with stop signs, another one back here, so that the vehicles coming out can see the vehicle coming from next to the building.
So when they're coming out, they're driven by service people?
Yeah, Kevin, Mark Mitchell, yeah. So when we were about, and we should have been bringing this in the beginning, but, in the middle portion of the plan was just to have the drive-in under the requirements that Volvo wanted. They want a service drive-in where you literally come in and you check your car in, if it's undercover and protected. And then we started to look at it, as time was going on, and we thought, this is really, really impractical, because people would have to be driving the cars in and then backing them out. We thought that was really gonna be, not gonna work. So as other dealerships are doing now, and I'm sure several of you bring your cars into places that have those drive-through places where you drive in and you're able to, a porter will take the car out, or you can drive it out, but it'll be drive in and drive out. And then also that feature, you know, the older part of the building in the back where there's gas pipes and there's things that aren't as attractive, the gas main and whatnot. By putting this feature in front, it's gonna really enhance the visual part from the street, I think. It'll block out the back and really, I think it's gonna really be although it's been more costly to us because of the timeliness of it, of course, and it's inconvenient for the contractors to do it, but they also agree. And the only thing that we're gonna come back with is we have a little bit of disagreement regarding the aesthetics, the wraparound, whether it should be brick or ACM. And so kindly the Design Review Board has agreed to do an on-site visit before their next meeting, so we can make our case on-site, so that's where that lies.
We table ours
Staff's recommendation is to table this application.
until October 16th.
October 2nd, your
Oh.
next regularly scheduled meeting.
So you don't ever have a situation then where there's more cars backing up behind? I mean, because you're right on Hot Meadow and you're right in the entrance there. You're like, so
Right.
you're never gonna stack more than 3 cars? I mean,
Right,
they're
so-
always going and.
It's because most people come in by appointment, so by appointment, we'll be scheduling the appointments that way, we'll be staggering our appointments, so although, you know, probably in Simsbury, probably at least half of the cars that we get to work on are dropped off the night before.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, that, to expand upon Donna's question, they do need approval from District 4, from the Department of Transportation, to modify that curb cut. And those are one of the items we discussed early on, is the ability to stack cars in that facility and its impacts to that entrance. And
Yeah.
I'm sure District 4 will take a close look at that.
Okay. Yeah, but right now it's going like that, and you just have another one there and you're like dead in the water.
We did, the proposal when we started didn't have as much space there, but we did, you know, trying to work with Jamie to try and get us more space. We did shift the building back a little more, added some of that, so we had a full,
Full
you know,
space
full
there,
space
right.
there, plus you have
Yeah,
the
I
2
appreciate
inside.
that, yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, they're gonna have people here that are ready to basically pull this out as soon as it comes, they check in and pull right out of there, so.
Just wondering.
Any questions? Motion to table?
Mr. Chairman, regarding application 1747, Scott Brace, PDS Engineering and Construction Company, Inc., agent, Mutual Auto Group owner, for site plan amendment, that we table this application until our October 12th, or October 2nd meeting
Second.
at 7 o'clock.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0, it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Table it till next time. Okay, application 1748. Chris Millard, Phase 0.
Chris couldn't make it tonight, so you have me. I'm Lisa Macharian, I'm the property owner at 750 Hot Meadow. This is the sign that we proposed for the location, and we just had design review, and had a couple of changes, but overall, it was an approval. Jamie can speak to the changes, he's got them all written down,
All right, so we're going with B.
with modification.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to this, you do have you are about to have a letter.
I saw you have a bunch of events coming up.
Yes, it's exciting.
Dated, not dated, you put a date of September 18th, 2017 on that regarding the application by Lisa Matron for a freestanding sign at 750 Hop Meadow Storytellers Cottage associated with the Simsbury Center Code, District SC1. With regards to the application before you, it just went to design review. Design review made a favorable recommendation of approval to you with a few items. And you have a draft motion before you, which, as a result of design reviews, input has been modified slightly. So if you'll bear with me, I'll go through some modifications to that original language before you. The motion is formatted in a favorable manner. It is a staff's recommendation to have a motion to approve the sign permit as detailed in Exhibit 1, which the applicant has before you today. This motion also includes the following conditions. 1, no interior illumination of the sign shall be allowed. 2, that the proposed freestanding sign area shall be reduced to a maximum height of 4 feet 6 inches with the sign area to remain proportional. And I'll come back to that. 3, that the applicant shall be allowed to install an additional sign on the building, maximum 2 feet by 2 feet, resembling a historic placard, i.e. Storyteller's Cottage, established September 2017, to the right or left of the main entrance door, similar to prior actions by the Commission on our downtown developments. Item 4, that the applicant provides a landscaping plan for the base of the sign as required by regulations, section 6.4.7 B1H, which requires 4 feet of landscaping around the sign. 5, which would be the insert of new language, that the exterior lighting shall be submitted to the Zoning Commission for review and approval by the Director of Planning and Community Development once it determines that the lighting is consistent with the town's design guidelines. The application before you has no proposed lighting, yet it is my understanding that the property owner would like to provide exterior lighting similar to what's allowed in the design guidelines and similar to other signs in the downtown corridor. 6, that the revised sign design, including revised dimensions, shall be submitted to the Zoning Commission and reviewed. The Director of Planning and Community Development may approve the revised sign design once it determines that the revised sign design meets the, in essence, the 5 conditions above.
Read number 1 again. I thought it was no exterior lighting, and then 5 says you
No
can have.
He changed it
interior
when he
illumination.
read it, yeah.
So the
I
sign
have 2 copies
itself
of the revised plan.
Thank you.
can only be 4'6" to the top?
Yes, the sign as proposed is 6 feet tall with 2 feet, it's a 4x4 sign
Is it gonna go down, or is,
with 2 feet of freeboard below it.
so they only have 6 inches then?
So the applicant has some options, and again, the commission wanted to be, design review wanted to be somewhat flexible. Their concern was the height, so they set a recommendation of maximum 4'6", but allowed the applicant to potentially be flexible and go a little bit wider, but try and maintain the proportionalities and scale associated with the building it's going in front of. So they didn't say if it goes to 4'6", that it had to go to, we'll say, 2 feet, 4x2, that it could remain and keep some of the proportionality that's shown in that. Versus
Did they
just
determine-
shrinking it on the Xerox machine.
A minimum amount above ground?
The dimension discussed was 18 inches. Again, there was no opposition to going lower than that, other than there are ground plantings required, and if they go too low, the ground plantings will interfere with the signage that
Right.
the landowner's trying to advertise on.
Right.
And lighting.
Yeah, 18 sounds like, I wouldn't go below that, but.
Where is this sign going to be?
Right out in front of the building. This is the house facing the road. There's a big planting here, and it's right next to it. It's where the previous sign was located.
Okay. This sign is essentially the same size as the previous sign, is that what?
smaller
Much
now,
Smaller?
based on those changes that they asked for.
The old one was 16?
Looks like it. Kevin's got
It was actually higher than that.
So is the power still in the ground?
But,
Is the power still in the ground?
Yeah.
The actual lights are still there,
Oh,
Nice.
sitting there.
you still have a sign?
Next.
Is there it's on the bottom.
Any
So
comment?
that was 6 feet?
That was higher than that, I think, actually. It was a 4x8, respectively.
Anyway, that's what was there.
That was prior to it being switched back to residence.
That's perpendicular to the street.
Yeah.
Correct.
Same as this.
Okay, so this maximum height, is that going to make a serious constraint in your,
No, it should be fine. We'll go back to the Canton Signs guy and say we just need to stretch it a little bit and it should be straightforward.
so you'd rather do it than fight it?
Yes.
She's got events lined up.
Okay, it's gonna take us the rest of the night to get these conditions into.
Well, Jamie read them.
Jackie was gonna read it.
I can make a motion to
Yeah,
approve
just
what
read it.
Jamie read. You
Right.
read them all.
Right.
It's, yeah, just generalized.
Clerk have them? Clerk says okay, so make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I just advise you, in any motion that you make, please don't reference language to the effect that whatever Mr. Rabbit said. It would be more appropriate to reference the letter
Letter.
dated September 18th, 2017, attachment A, as revised and read into the record.
What Jamie just
Okay.
said.
Okay.
Go to it.
I would like to make a motion to approve application 17-48 by Chris Millard, Phase Zero Design, agent Lisa Netcharian, owner, for a new freestanding sign at 750 Hot Meadow Street, which is the Storyteller's Cottage, associated with the Simsbury Center Code District. I would like to reference attachment A. The draft motion is dated September 18th with the conditions of approval that have been read into the record.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0, 8 passes. Thank you very much. You can have that. Okay. Application 1749 of William Farino, Sunlight Construction for proposed amendment. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Bob Myers, here representing Sunlight Construction. Mr. Ferrigno's here, too. There are actually two applications on your agenda tonight, 49 and 50. 49 is not ready for action tonight. 49 involves four things. It involves deleting from the plan 24 apartments and replacing them with 15 single-family homes. Staff has been enormously helpful in getting us to this point, but we still need to submit some additional plans, so we're going to ask you to table 49 tonight to your next meeting. The other three items in 49 are timing of grading of a hillside, timing of installation of stormwater features, and empowering staff with regard to the emergency access road, because there are some significant trees out there that everybody wants to save. So staff is going to have the right to wiggle the road in order to save the trees. That's a pretty quick summary of 1749.
Okay, let us deal with that, and then we can be beyond.
Fair enough.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, make a
to
motion regarding
table 1749.
1749, that we table the application until our meeting on October 2nd at 7
Second,
o'clock. on this
okay.
one.
Okay.
Perfect.
Second by Jackie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, carries 4-0. Okay, let's move on to 1750.
1750 involves, of course, the same project, but this is a single item that's being clarified. The Commission required and we agreed to build a sidewalk from our project out to Route 10, out to Hot Meadow Street. We've worked with staff, both those present and especially with the engineers and Department of Public Works. The plan is in order. We have to get approval from DOT with regard to the portion in the state right-of-way. We have to get approval from the town with regard to the part in our right-of-way. And what this does is enables staff to approve the plan upon the written certification of the town Department of Public Works that this town portion is done, and upon receiving from the state the approval of the portion in the state.
Okay. Questions of the commission?
Does the commission have any questions of staff?
It's a tricky one. Right?
Well, the truth is that I drafted what we were going to ask for, and staff looked at it, and staff made a couple of suggestions, and we incorporated those suggestions into what we're asking for.
Okay.
Jackie, you want to do it?
Well, no, because I do have a question for Jamie.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So, the sidewalk can be on either side of the road? I remember when this was before us. So that's the very first thing, the sidewalk can be on either side of Hoskins?
We've selected a particular path now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's why I said it was tricky, because there were a lot of, it could be here, it has to,
That was the difficulty in the original motion that was approved, is that it basically said from point A being the development
Right.
to point B being
Route-
Hot Meadow.
yes.
The applicant shall install a sidewalk, design it, and bring it back to the zoning commission for review and approval. There's
Okay.
a lot of moving parts to that.
Right. Especially with
including-
DOT.
But, whether it can be done in the right-of-way, final design, DOT, Public Works, and engineering internally. So in trying to accomplish all of that, they worked with staff to propose, again, what they're here before you tonight, to recommend some flexibility with regards to the timing. And the modification assures that they're committed to doing it,
Mhm.
that they would start it at a particular interval and
Right.
complete it in a timely manner, structured on the occupancy of X number of units. And we did this, if you recall, a few months ago with Silverman and the form-based code associated there, that the multipurpose trail is under construction at a certain time frame, and it is up and operational, not when the first unit is occupied, but when a substantial proportion of units are occupied.
So this gets them, they can start working
Right.
and then,
Problem
This
with
will
the
be
prior
concluded.
approval is we couldn't, if they applied for a building permit, we could not sign the certificate of zoning compliance, which is required by the statute,
Mhm.
to give them that building permit, because they didn't comply with the condition that the sidewalk was designed and approved by the commission,
because it wasn't.
because it wasn't.
Okay.
yet.
Gotcha.
This gives them a few more months
Or,
to accomplish that.
okay.
So it says along the west side of Hot Meadow Street. Now, is that on the site plan that shows us where? Do we have anything that shows, and how much are they actually doing on Hot Meadow Street? Because that's in front of
It's in front of the convenience
Sunrise,
store.
yeah. So does it run all the way down to the curb cut there?
The crosswalk at the intersection with Hoskins. So we'll go from the intersection with Hoskins and an already established crosswalk north to Eli, and then from Eli west back to Hoskins, along the north side of Hoskins to their
Right.
development
So it won't
entrance.
go north at all?
It will not cross Eli.
It stays on one side of the street.
Yeah, but I thought it was on the other side.
We didn't know, I think, before. Yeah.
Bill Frigner from Sunlight. So, yeah, we didn't know because in walking out with Tom Roy and others and with Jamie and Mike's help, we decided, and also actually, since he's here, Mr. Antonio is part of this too. We decided the best route would be, so our project is up here. Best route would be go down Hoskins, cross over to Eli, and then down, effectively, it's the south
South
side
side of Eli.
all the way to Hot Meadow, and then up the western side of Hot Meadow until we get to the crosswalk.
Yeah.
So for grade purposes, preservation of trees, drainage, like you say, James has a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, we
This is
didn't
kind of
know.
what we're doing. It's actually a little bit more sidewalk for us, but we're happy to do it.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't know when this was before us, like, at all.
We didn't know either.
Yeah.
Actually. That's a good point. We didn't know. How many times we walk out there, right? So,
Yeah.
but this was deemed to be the,
It seems to make sense.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want
Now,
me
are you
to
ready?
make a motion?
Yeah, now that you've got
Mr.
it all
Chairman?
under control.
Okay.
We'll see. See about that.
And it's
I-
Ely,
What's that?
and its name is Ely.
Oh, not Eli?
Right.
Ely?
Ely.
Ely.
Talked to an Ely descendant, and they said it's Ely.
Do you want to make this motion?
Just correcting you before you make the
It's
error.
getting late.
I would like to make a motion to approve application 17-50 of William A. Frigno of Sunlight Construction, owner to modify the original conditions of the approval associated with the property located at 224254 Hoskins Road, Workforce Housing Development. The site plan amendment approval is subject to the following conditions of approvals. Number one, the applicant shall construct a sidewalk along either the north side of Hoskins Road or the south side of Ely Road. This sidewalk will connect to one constructed along the west side of Hot Meadow Street in locations approved by the Director of Public Works. Number two, the portion of sidewalk in the state of Connecticut right-of-way must be approved by CTDOT District 4. Number three, the portions of the sidewalks which are located in the public right-of-way, example, Hoskins or Ely Road rights-of-way, shall be approved by the Director of Public Works prior to construction. Plan submission shall be based upon similar content and details as required by CTDOT District 4. Number four, sidewalk located within the state right-of-way shall be 5 feet wide and concrete. Number five, sidewalk located within town rights-of-way shall be bituminous concrete. The width of these walkways shall be the widths determined by the Director of Public Works. Number six, construction of the sidewalk shall begin prior to the issuance of the 25th building permit. Number seven, the construction of the sidewalk is to be completed prior to the issuance of the 60th certificate of occupancy for the development. The 61st certificate of occupancy is not to be approved until written approval from the Director of Public Works is provided that the sidewalks have been constructed and completed in accordance with the approved plans.
Do we want to say just the south side of?
Oh, now she
Really?
corrects.
No, I didn't want to interrupt. Or, I mean, we don't want to leave the north side of Hoskins in, do we? The first, number one, it says
Yeah,
either.
it does go along the north side of Hoskins.
Before, and then it
Before,
cuts
okay,
over.
okay, okay. All right,
Yeah,
that's
now
all.
it's-
Second.
Oh, thanks, Donna.
Second by
Donna.
Ely. Oh, Donna? Okay.
Historian.
Further comments or corrections, or all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank
all
you.
very much. Thank you.
Okay, we have
Still stuff to do.
general commission business. We have an executive session.
Mr. Donahue was here. I don't know if you needed him. Okay,
He was here.
He
right?
was.
Ooh,
sorry.
he is here.
So do we need to go into executive
here.
order?
Do we need to go into
Session.
executive session, or should we wait for?
Council is not, your council is not intending to be here tonight. He had a conflict, but staff is prepared to discuss the matter with you in executive session because it is associated with pending litigation. So the appropriate thing would be to make a motion to go in the executive session to discuss litigation associated with the Schoenhart case.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the Schoenhart stipulated judgment, and that we include the Director of Planning and the Assistant Director of Planning? Whatever his name is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're in.